You could be forgiven for thinking that all this talk of drones has just been an excuse to make elaborate adverts for pizza companies. Certainly though, if you believe the hype, then it won't be long before drones are doing a lot more than just dropping off piping hot margaritas. Amazon's Prime Air, for example, promises to one day deliver packages to customers within 30 minutes or less. That's if they can make the machine safe and convince governments and regulators that it's a good idea. But despite the promise, so far drones have pretty much been constrained to wacky research projects and wacky race courses. It feels to me that we're still waiting to see them come out of the labs and into the wild to make a real difference.
So, where do you think we're going to go for this next drone story? Stanford, California? No. MIT? Boston? No. Dan Simmons is in Rwanda.
This drone has beaten the biggest names in tech and retail to become the world's first to offer an ongoing commercial delivery service that works. I hung out with the guys in the run-up to the launch and learned some of the secrets of how they did it. First, assemble a crack squad. Don't let the West Coast looks fool you. These guys have engineered stuff for SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, Boeing and Google. They operate like the Marines in Freshers Week. Yes, there'll be mishaps, but they're focused. Second, don't use a chopper, quadcopter or anything else that resembles a mobile blender. Fixed wing goes further, faster and is more robust.
So right now we have a range of about 150 kilometers round trip. It allows us to carry a bigger payload, and the best part is it allows us to fly in all weather conditions. So we can fly in up to very high winds, and we can also fly in the rain.
To get it off the ground, an elastic rubber cord is wound up and then catapults the drone, or zip as it's called, from 0 to 80 kilometers an hour in under a second. Once it's clear, 2 propellers kick in, taking it up to a cruising speed of 100 kilometers an hour. Now the pilot is the onboard computer.
It is following a very precise GPS called RTK GPS. It gives us precision up to several centimeters. So every time that a plane is going out for a mission, it gets a new set of SD cards with a new mission. And then, additionally, these SD cards become the black box of the vehicle. Things like airspeed, ground speed, temperature of internal components, tracking error, so if we're off a meter or two in one direction, all things that we can feed back into our engineering process and improve.
If you're off a meter or two in one direction, is it that precise?
Oh yeah, that's our outer bound.
You can see this is a tennis ball. I just need to know,
Yeah.
have you got a fancy name for it?
No.
You call it a tennis ball?
It's the pre-flight handle.
It's the pre-flight handle.
The pre-flight handle impact buffer, we can call it.
Next trick, don't land the thing to drop off the package, just drop off the package. When over its target, these barn doors open and 4 rubber bands ping the cargo out of the hold, which hopefully has one of these attached. Next up, do lots of testing.
So follow the plane and I'll be behind the drop. That was supposed to drop it then as it went over, but something happened and it hasn't worked. So they might try another time.
The zip dips to make the drop, but won't do so if it's off course. It'll try 10 times before it aborts the mission and goes home.
Whoa! And this is the package that it delivers. It comes down on what wasn't a brilliantly operational parachute, I guess, on this time. It looks like it's come apart. But this is biodegradable. It's a one-time use, so they don't need to worry about the environmental impact of using this. Inside is the life-saving package. This is the blood that will be used by surgeons, possibly to save somebody's life. And as you can see, it's extremely well wrapped up. And I expect when we open it, will be perfectly usable.
you have a unique set of challenges in terms of blood and delivering other kinds of medical products. You know, Rwanda is known as the land of 1,000 hills. It can be a hard place to get around. We realized that it was a place where we could move quickly and do something for the first time in the world, but it was also a place where the need was very high for something like Zipline.
While pizza delivery schemes may struggle to justify the cost of using drones, saving the lives of mothers after childbirth or road accident victims is something worth paying for.
District hospital can't keep the blood of negative here in hospital. It means that when we have the emergency case, we must request at Kigali, and some of time it depends on the case. If it's emergency, people can die. Maybe when we found that it can take many time to request, we refer the client to the referral hospital. Also, it's very far.
Wow, so you actually move the patient sometimes rather than actually get the blood to where the patient is, because it's quicker.
Yeah.
Now the doctor just needs to send a text.
The government pays us for each and every flight that we do, but the really cool thing is that these flights are actually about equal or a little less expensive than the way they were currently doing these deliveries, using motorcycles or trucks.
It's always useful to get yourself a friendly government that wants to help. Rwanda has form. It had fibre broadband 10 years ago, was first in Africa to 4G, and the biggest investor in one laptop per child.
We start from a point that this is innovation, that we cannot figure out all the right answers before we start. But at the same time, we look at what it is at stake. It's people's lives at stake.
Why have you made different rules for this project?
I don't think we made rules for this project. We made rules for an industry. And what we are setting up for is really an environment that will allow many drone companies to come and operate and on commercial basis, even experiment.
The Zips fly below passenger plane airspace and must report their position over the cell network back to the nest and to air traffic control. Nosing around the launch site is international courier firm UPS. Might they use Zips?
That first drone taking off today was actually a game changer for the global logistics industry and a game changer for our humanitarian activities around the world.
What happens if it hits a bird?
We have never hit a bird. It is not super quiet, so birds hear it coming. And generally, a bird's life strategy is to stay away from birds that are bigger than it. So it is not a problem we've ever come in contact with. But if we were to lose one motor, our vehicle is designed to be able to fly home on a single motor.
And the final tip for drone delivery success, bring it home safely. Zipline plucks its drones from the sky like they're landing on an aircraft carrier. The wire goes up and the hook at the back of the Zip catches, bringing it down safely. Together with local residents, I looked on and couldn't help but admire what this team has achieved. But I also had some concerns. The system relies on one team from the US, so expansion to an ever-increasing waiting list of African countries is likely to be slow. The drop needs an open but secure target area. This isn't a to-the-door solution.
We can have a plane ready to fly in less than 5 minutes.
And given drones are more infamous for dropping munitions, seeing the military take an interest made me feel uneasy, although the technology minister told me that's not the plan. But what's happened here is a milestone. A commercially viable drone delivery service has been talked about for years. Now finally, this crack squad have made the drop.